Hi, my name is Orni Chinar and I'm a partner at Rain. And with me today is Eitan, CEO and founder of Kima.
Hello.
Hi, thank you for joining us today and would love to hear a little more. So perhaps you could start with telling us what Kima does.
Sure. So Kima is an interoperability protocol that connects disparate and disconnected ecosystems like digital asset ecosystems and the banking system. So with a blockchain, we remove the intermediaries that need to connect all these ecosystems for the purpose of transfer of assets between blockchains and the traditional banking system.
And in the current ecosystem and with all the tailwinds of what we've seen in the market, the SBF saga, etc., tell us a little more.
Yeah.
What's your role within all this and how is it affecting you?
Sure. So we have to make to separate the SBF and all these speculative aspects of the crypto space from the nascent technology and its benefits. Obviously, there is a connection, but we're looking at the things from the infrastructure level. So, what does the technology uh, and digital assets, what that entails to systems like the financial system? And we see that there is a lot of efficiency that can be ripped from this new technology. We're talking about blockchains that function as a single source of truth and enable the complete removal of intermediaries in workflows that today may take days and compress everything to just seconds. Without intermediaries, we put in technology, cryptographic algorithms, and mathematics to attest that transaction indeed took place. So we don't need all those intermediaries along the way. So we're building this foundation technology that enables all that between those disconnected ecosystems. And we're completely unconnected to the speculative aspect of cryptocurrencies.
Good side to be on, definitely. Um, so when you look at it that way, and if I understand correctly from what you're saying, you're talking about how asset tokenization is helpful to the players in the space. So who's embracing it now, and why are they embracing it? How is it beyond the intermediaries, right? Which we understand that less intermediaries is greater efficiencies. But could you talk a little more about the advantages of asset tokenization?
Yeah, so this is what we typically call RWAs, real world assets. So we're not building or creating new currencies out of thin air. We're actually using assets that we know like bonds and stocks, even real estate and some other asset classes. And we create a digital representation of those assets. So the assets exist, the underlying assets are the same, but once we have those digital representation, we can put them on chain, we can transact with them, and this is a representation of the real world assets. And
This is something we should all be very comfortable with in reality, right? I mean, everything today is measured, or what we eat, how many steps we walk, how many stairs we've gone up. What's the difference with our assets in reality?
So, when we talk about financial assets, we need to make sure that there's no double spending. If I just logged that I walked outside and I walked for 1 mile, there's no disaster if this item of data gets copied and sent somewhere. But if it's money or if it's your apartment, uh, if someone sells it, then it's a problem. So when we talk about financial assets and also could be health records and things that we must make sure that they're protected and there's a single source of truth. So instead of relying on someone like Google that stores all this data and we have to trust that entity, we can put our trust in mathematics and cryptography and remove that intermediary. So this is extremely.
Can you hear that? I think
It's breaking in.
יש לי תחושה, אנחנו לא רוצים את זה לסרטון.
כן.
סורי שאני עצרתי אותך.
לא, אני ממשיך עם
אני ככה היססתי, ואז אמרתי,
חשבתי שזה ייפסק.
כן, אבל לא.
It doesn't seem like anybody's coming to fix it.
Can you hear it on the recording? Oh,
That's gone.
okay.
The camera's still rolling, by the way.
Can we continue from where we were?
Yeah.
Okay. And so you'll just cut the.
So, what was the question?
So the question was, we were discussing how it's important to have a single source of truth
Right,
within.
And avoid double spending.
Yeah.
So we need that type of ledger that is protected and that nobody can change anything unless they need to. And that's where blockchain comes into play.
I accept that, but now say a little more about the need to connect between, and I'll push it even further. I think it's very easy to understand why you need offline to blockchain interconnectivity, and I understand you roll there easily. I'm very intrigued with what you're doing in connecting different blockchains one to the other. Can you talk a little about that?
Yeah. So tokenization means that we put this digital representation on some kind of a ledger, and blockchain is one type of ledger, decentralized type of ledger. Now, since everything is new, we see tokenization taking place on multiple platforms. Every financial institution chooses its own solution, and there are no standards. Every large institution wants to dictate the standards and make everyone adopt their standards, and it's easy to understand why. Now, we've seen that before. We've seen that with the internet. Remember American Online, AOL? They wanted to be this walled garden of the internet that is protected and everything is being controlled by them. That didn't work. Why? Because the internet is an open network and everyone has the ability to create their own content. And what we need to do is to interconnect these networks. That's what we actually need. We've seen this in previous generations of technology. And at the end of the day, we want digital assets to be transferable just like we're sending an email. When I sent you an email earlier, I didn't ask you, okay, what phone are you on or which client of email you're going to use. I just sent it and it worked. It worked because there's a protocol that interconnects all these sub-networks. And that's our vision. That's how we see the world of digital assets.
That's very helpful. Thank you. And when you're talking about digital assets, are we going all the way to the metaverse? Does the metaverse still exist?
It exists somewhere, I guess. So a metaverse is one incarnation of the self-ownership, self-custody of assets. But it's, one implementation. There are so many other implementations.
So when all's said and done, what's your overarching vision? Where's Kima going?
Yeah, so Kima is building something that, if I had to take examples from previous technology generations, it's the SMTP, it's the HTTP. It means that there are these pipelines, there's a network that everyone can connect to, and once they connect to this network, they know that everyone else is connected. So we're not trying to dictate a certain standard, a certain structure of message. What we're saying is let's build an open network built on top of a blockchain where we don't need those intermediaries to dictate the rules and everyone can connect to it. And Kima will be this foundation for this network.
So I can foresee that that's not an easy task. What challenges are you contending with now?
Definitely. So we see so many challenges in first and foremost, and there are some technological challenges, which, by the way, we feel very comfortable with them. But there are also adoption challenges. It's still the jury is still there to say whether or not digital assets will be adopted, in which use cases, and how much. The projections are very optimistic, but we know that we need to actually see that happening. The banks and financial institutions, some of them are very conservative. So
Some of them?
most of them, and those that don't, that aren't, probably won't survive. So we see long cycles of adoption, and maybe the last thing is being a young startup. It's always more challenging to get into these institutions and get to work with them. But we see very optimistic signs of adoption of, and our solution is unique in the architecture that it offers. The approach is completely new and unique. And I think that overall, at the end of the day, we will be able to get into these proof of concepts and succeed in what we're trying to achieve.
Very nice. Thank you so much for sharing with us. If you had one ask, who should reach out to you now?
So we are really looking to work with financial institutions that are now doing their proof of concepts. So we're looking for design partners that will help us build a product that is going to be needed 5 years down the road. So if you're a financial institution,
That's
do
you
it.
guys.
Looking into that, doing your proof of concepts, looking for the vendors that will give you this infrastructure that you need to build on, please reach out to us.
Thank you very much.